In 2019, a family's RV disappeared without a trace in the Mojave Desert. 5 years later, what hikers discovered would reopen a case that had gone completely cold. The metal box measured 8 inches square and 3 inches deep. Jennifer Walsh pulled it from beneath a pile of weathered stones on March 15, 2024, while hiking a backcountry trail 40 miles northeast of Barstow. The aluminum surface bore scratches from wind-blown sand, but the corners remained sharp. No rust. The weight suggested something substantial inside. Her hiking partner, Mike Patterson, used his multi-tool to pry open the sealed edges. The lid separated with a soft pop, revealing contents wrapped in multiple layers of plastic sheeting. The first layer contained a digital camera. The second held a notebook, pages filled with handwritten text. The third layer revealed something that made Jennifer's hands shake as she lifted it from the box. A California driver's license. David Thompson, age 34, San Francisco address. The photo showed a man with sandy brown hair and wire-rimmed glasses, smiling at the camera. The license had been issued in 2018 and wouldn't expire until 2024. 5 years after David Thompson, his wife Sarah, and their twin daughters, Emma and Lily, had vanished from Highway 395 in the Mojave Desert. David Thompson had worked as a software engineer for a tech startup in San Francisco's Mission District. His colleagues described him as methodical, the type who carried backup phone chargers and researched every restaurant before making reservations. Sarah taught 3rd grade at Roosevelt Elementary, where she'd organized the school's annual camping trip for 6 consecutive years. She knew how to read topographic maps and could identify edible plants in the Sierra Nevada foothills. The twins, Emma and Lily, had just turned 8. Emma collected rocks from every place they visited, storing them in a small purple backpack. Lily preferred photographing insects with a kid-friendly digital camera their parents had given her for Christmas. Both girls had completed a junior wilderness survival course the previous summer through the local YMCA. The family owned a 2018 Winnebago View, purchased used from a dealer in Sacramento. David had installed additional LED lighting, a solar panel system, and a GPS tracking device that transmitted coordinates every 15 minutes. The RV's maintenance records showed regular oil changes, tire rotations, and brake inspections. The vehicle had never experienced a mechanical failure. Sarah maintained a travel blog called 4 Wheels, 4 Hearts. Her posts documented their weekend trips to Lake Tahoe, Yosemite, and the Redwood National Forest. The writing style was enthusiastic but practical, including detailed gear lists and campground reviews. Her followers numbered just over 300, mostly other families with similar interests. The blog's final post, uploaded at 11:32 p.m. on October 14, 2019, showed the girls roasting marshmallows at a campground outside Barstow. The caption read, "Day 3 Magic Under the Stars." The family had planned a 2-week circuit through Nevada and Utah, with stops at Valley of Fire State Park, Zion National Park, and Bryce Canyon. David had mapped the route using GPS coordinates and printed backup directions. Sarah had researched hiking trails appropriate for 8-year-olds and packed accordingly. They'd done similar trips before, never encountering significant problems. Security footage from a Chevron station in Ridgecrest captured the RV at 2:15 a.m. on October 15th. David filled the tank, while Sarah bought bottled water and granola bars from the attached convenience store. The girls remained asleep in the back. The family appeared relaxed, unhurried. They left the station at 2:23 a.m., heading north toward Highway 395. The next confirmed sighting came from a trucker who passed the RV at 3:20 a.m., approximately 15 miles south of where the GPS signal would later disappear. The driver remembered the distinctive blue and white striping along the vehicle's side. He noted nothing unusual about its speed or direction. 27 minutes later, The Winnebago's onboard navigation system transmitted its final coordinates: 35.7439 degrees N, 117.8956 degrees W. The location placed the vehicle on a remote stretch of highway with no cell towers within 30 miles. The GPS device had been programmed to continue transmitting even if the engine was turned off, powered by the RV's auxiliary battery system. Sarah's sister Maria called police on October 17th, when the family failed to check in as scheduled. The Thompsons had promised to call every evening at 7 p.m. October 15th marked the first missed call in 3 days of consistent contact. The California Highway Patrol issued a BOLO alert within 6 hours of Maria's call. Officers found no evidence of an accident along the expected route. No debris, no skid marks, no signs of vehicles leaving the roadway. The asphalt showed normal wear patterns and recent resurfacing work, but no unusual tire marks or oil stains. Phone records confirmed the family's cell phones had lost signal at 3:47 a.m. on October 15th, consistent with the GPS tracker's final transmission. The phones never reconnected to any cellular network. Digital forensics specialists confirmed the devices had not been intentionally disabled. Search and rescue teams from San Bernardino County deployed helicopters across a 200-square-mile grid. The terrain stretched from the highway corridors to the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada, encompassing thousands of acres of desert scrub, hidden ravines, and abandoned mining roads. Aerial surveys revealed dozens of dirt tracks leading into the wilderness, many too narrow for vehicle access. Ground teams began systematic searches of accessible areas within a 5-mile radius of the last GPS transmission. The search pattern followed established protocols for missing vehicle cases, focusing on areas where mechanical problems might force drivers to seek help. Teams checked abandoned buildings, seasonal camps, and known water sources throughout the region. Weather conditions complicated the search efforts. Desert temperatures reached 89 degrees Fahrenheit during midday hours, requiring frequent rest breaks for search personnel. Overnight temperatures dropped to 41 degrees, creating visibility problems and safety concerns for night operations. Sustained winds averaging 22 miles per hour scattered potential evidence and made helicopter operations difficult. On October 21st, a sheriff's deputy spotted tire tracks leading from Highway 395 onto Bureau of Land Management property. The tracks followed a maintenance road for 8.3 miles before reaching a clearing surrounded by Joshua trees. The RV sat empty in the center of the space, keys still in the ignition, engine cold. The fuel tank measured 3/4 full. The odometer showed 127,349 miles, consistent with the expected mileage for the trip. Personal belongings remained undisturbed inside the vehicle. Suitcases packed with clothing, the girl's rock collection, Sarah's camera equipment, and David's laptop computer. The refrigerator contained fresh food, including milk that wouldn't expire for another week. Crime scene technicians processed the RV for evidence of struggle or foul play. They found no blood, no damaged furniture, no indication of forced entry. The beds appeared slept in, with rumpled sheets and pillows still showing head impressions. Emma's stuffed elephant sat on her bunk, positioned as if she'd placed it there carefully before lying down. The RV's black water tank was empty, indicating recent waste disposal. The gray water tank showed normal usage levels. Both propane tanks registered half full. The solar panel system continued functioning normally, maintaining battery charge levels within expected parameters. All mechanical systems operated correctly when technicians conducted diagnostic tests. K9 units tracked human scent for approximately 200 yards northeast of the RV before losing the trail at a rocky outcropping. The dogs indicated the presence of all 4 family members in that direction, but the scent disappeared completely at the rocks. Additional searches with different dogs produced the same results. Ground teams combed the surrounding area for 7 days, expanding the search radius to 5 miles from the RV's location. They found no clothing, no personal items, no evidence of human passage beyond the initial scent trail. The terrain consisted of loose sand, scattered rocks, and hardy desert vegetation. Footprints should have been visible for several days in the dry conditions. The FBI joined the investigation on October 30th, citing the case's interstate implications and potential federal jurisdiction. Special agents interviewed the family's friends, neighbors, and coworkers, searching for any indication of financial problems, marital difficulties, or unusual behavior. The interviews revealed no significant concerns. The Thompsons appeared to have lived a stable, unremarkable life. Digital analysis of the family's electronic devices revealed normal communication patterns and typical internet usage. David's work computer contained routine project files and personal documents. Sarah's laptop showed lesson plans, family photos, and correspondence with other teachers. Neither device indicated planning for an extended absence or any unusual stress. Financial records showed steady income and responsible spending habits. The family's bank accounts contained sufficient funds for their planned vacation and normal monthly expenses. Credit card statements revealed typical purchases for a family preparing for a camping trip. No large cash withdrawals or unusual transactions occurred before their departure. Investigators reviewed the family's social media activity for clues about their mental state or potential threats. David posted infrequently, mainly sharing work achievements and outdoor photos. Sarah maintained active accounts documenting family activities and school events. The twins appeared in their parents' photos, but had no independent social media presence due to their age. Background checks revealed no criminal history, outstanding warrants, or legal problems for any family member. David's employment record showed consistent performance and no workplace conflicts. Sarah's school evaluations were consistently positive, and she had recently received a teaching award. The family's credit reports indicated responsible financial management. The case attracted national media attention within 48 hours of the RV's discovery. Cable news networks featured the story during prime-time broadcasts, emphasizing the family's wholesome image and the mysterious circumstances. Sarah's blog gained thousands of new followers, with readers analyzing her posts for clues about the disappearance. Local businesses in Ridgecrest and Barstow posted flyers with the family's photographs. The images showed the Thompsons at various outdoor locations, smiling and relaxed. David wore his characteristic wire-rimmed glasses and plaid shirts. Sarah appeared in hiking boots and sun hats, often with her arms around the twins. Emma and Lily looked identical, except for Emma's preference for purple clothing and Lily's collection of small cameras. Roosevelt Elementary School organized a prayer vigil for Sarah and the girls. Nearly 200 people attended the evening ceremony, including parents, students, and faculty members. The principal spoke about Sarah's dedication to her students and her innovative teaching methods. Third graders made cards with crayon drawings of the missing family, hoping they would somehow find their way home. David's co-workers at the tech startup established a reward fund for information leading to the family's location. The fund grew to $50,000 within a month, with contributions from employees at other San Francisco companies. The money was placed in escrow with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, awaiting credible leads. Maria Thompson, Sarah's sister, appeared on several television programs pleading for information. She described the family as experienced campers who wouldn't have left their RV voluntarily. Maria emphasized David's careful planning and Sarah's wilderness knowledge, arguing that they would never have abandoned their vehicle in such a remote location. The search area expanded to include regions within a 50-mile radius of the RV's discovery site. Volunteer groups organized weekend searches of accessible areas, while professional teams focused on technical terrain requiring specialized equipment. The efforts coordinated through the San Bernardino County Emergency Operations Center, which managed resources and prevented duplication of search activities. Winter weather suspended aerial searches in December 2019. Snow covered the higher elevations, making ground searches impossible in many areas. The case remained active, but daily search operations ceased. Investigators focused on digital evidence, analyzing the family's computer files, financial records, and communication history. Anniversary coverage in October 2020 generated renewed interest in the case. Local news stations interviewed search and rescue coordinators who admitted they had no new leads. The FBI offered updated contact information for tips, but acknowledged that the investigative focus had shifted to reviewing existing evidence rather than conducting active searches. Maria Thompson stopped giving interviews after the second anniversary. She moved from San Francisco to Portland, Oregon, and changed her phone number. The reward fund remained available, but no credible tips had been received. The case gradually faded from public attention, relegated to missing persons databases and true crime forums. The camera's memory card contained 847 photographs, spanning the Thompson family's entire camping trip. The first images showed their departure from San Francisco on October 12th, with shots of the RV loaded with supplies and the girls waving from the passenger window. Subsequent photos documented their progress through California, with stops at roadside attractions and scenic overlooks. The final 12 images, time-stamped October 15th at 4:23 a.m., showed dramatically different subject matter. Desert terrain in pre-dawn darkness, illuminated by an unknown light source. Rocky outcroppings and sparse vegetation, suggesting a location several miles from any established trail. The camera's GPS coordinates placed the photos approximately 6 miles northeast of where the RV was later discovered. The 11th image showed what appeared to be a camp or temporary shelter, constructed from RV awning material and secured with rocks. The structure looked hastily assembled, but functionally sound. The 12th and final image captured a human silhouette in the distance, walking away from the camera toward a low hill. The figure's identity remained unclear due to the poor lighting conditions and digital compression. Sarah's notebook contained entries spanning the entire trip. The early pages documented their planned route, campground reservations, and daily activities. Her handwriting appeared relaxed and enthusiastic, with detailed observations about the desert landscape and the girls' reactions to new experiences. The tone shifted dramatically in the final entries. October 14th's entry mentioned unusual sounds during the night at their Barstow campground. Sarah described hearing mechanical noises that didn't match typical highway traffic or camping area activity. She noted that David had walked around their site twice, checking for loose equipment or animals. The sounds had stopped by sunrise, but Sarah admitted feeling unsettled despite the peaceful morning. The final entry, dated October 15th, and written in increasingly erratic handwriting, consisted of a single phrase repeated across 3 pages. "We shouldn't have stopped." The repetition began clearly, but devolved into barely legible scrawl. The pages showed evidence of pressure, as if Sarah had pressed hard with her pen while writing. Forensic analysis of the buried box revealed several puzzling details. The aluminum container showed no signs of corrosion, despite 5 years of desert exposure. The seal had been professionally applied, suggesting specialized equipment or knowledge. The GPS coordinates where the box was found corresponded to no known camping sites, trails, or landmarks. The plastic wrapping inside the box contained 3 distinct layers, each sealed separately. The outermost layer showed minimal moisture damage, indicating excellent preservation techniques. The middle layer contained desiccant packets, commonly used for long-term storage of sensitive materials. The innermost layer surrounded each item individually, with careful padding to prevent damage. Digital forensics specialists confirmed the camera's timestamp accuracy by comparing it to cell tower records and GPS data. The photographs were taken exactly where the metadata indicated, in terrain that matched the elevated perspective suggested by the images. The lighting conditions in the photos corresponded to the moon phase and atmospheric conditions on October 15, 2019. The notebook's paper showed consistent aging patterns, confirming its 5-year exposure to desert conditions. Ink analysis matched the pen found in Sarah's purse inside the abandoned RV. Handwriting experts confirmed the script belonged to Sarah Thompson, though they noted the dramatic deterioration in the final entries. The discovery renewed speculation about the Thompson family's fate. Law enforcement officials acknowledged 3 primary theories, each supported by different aspects of the evidence. The theories reflected the case's fundamental mystery: how 4 people could vanish completely from a well-monitored recreation vehicle. The first theory suggested mechanical failure or navigational error. David might have become disoriented in the pre-dawn darkness, driving the RV down increasingly remote roads while searching for highway access. The family could have abandoned the vehicle after becoming hopelessly lost, attempting to hike toward civilization. The harsh desert environment would have made survival unlikely, especially with 2 young children. However, this theory failed to explain several key details. The RV showed no signs of mechanical problems or fuel shortage. David's GPS device had been functioning normally until the final transmission. The family possessed adequate water and food supplies for several days. David's careful planning and Sarah's wilderness knowledge made such a basic navigational error seem improbable. The second theory involved foul play by unknown parties. The family might have encountered criminal activity in the remote area, possibly related to drug trafficking or illegal border crossings. The Mojave Desert had long been used for smuggling operations, with numerous documented incidents of violence against innocent travelers. The perpetrators could have forced the family from their RV and transported them to another location. This theory aligned with the abrupt cessation of GPS and cell phone signals, suggesting intentional interference. The family's apparent cooperation, evidenced by the lack of struggle inside the RV, might have resulted from threats against the children. The buried box could represent evidence hidden during the confrontation, preserved by someone who later became unable to retrieve it. The third theory proposed voluntary disappearance, though investigators found this explanation least convincing. The family might have staged their own vanishing for unknown reasons, possibly related to financial problems or legal difficulties. The buried box could contain items they planned to recover after establishing new identities elsewhere. Yet this theory contradicted extensive background investigations. The Thompson family showed no signs of financial distress, legal problems, or unusual behavior. Their social media presence, work performance, and community involvement appeared entirely normal. The twins' young age would have made successful identity changes extremely difficult. The temporary shelter visible in the camera's 11th photograph represented the most tangible evidence of the family's final hours. FBI specialists analyzed the image extensively, identifying materials that matched the RV's retractable awning. The construction appeared hasty but functional, suggesting the family had been forced to create emergency shelter for unknown reasons. The shelter's location, approximately 6 miles from the abandoned RV, indicated the family had traveled on foot through difficult terrain. The distance would have required several hours of hiking, especially with 2 young children. The route between the RV and the shelter crossed several ravines and rocky outcroppings, areas where searchers had found no trace of human passage. The human silhouette in the final photograph remained unidentified. FBI image enhancement specialists confirmed the figure appeared to be walking away from the camera, heading toward higher ground. The person's size and proportions suggested an adult, but gender identification proved impossible due to poor lighting and image quality. The figure's direction of travel led toward a series of hills that extended into Nevada. The terrain became increasingly difficult beyond the photographed location, with steep grades and loose rock surfaces. No established trails existed in that area, and the nearest road access lay more than 15 miles away. Search teams had never extended their grid to include the hills shown in the photograph. The area was considered too remote and inaccessible for a family with young children. The discovery of the buried box forced investigators to reconsider their assumptions about the family's capabilities and intentions. The Thompson family case remains officially unsolved. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department maintains an active file, but no new leads have emerged since the discovery of the buried box. FBI agents continue to review evidence periodically, but the investigation has no dedicated resources or full-time personnel. The buried box currently resides in an evidence locker at the FBI's Los Angeles field office. The photographs, notebook, and driver's license have been analyzed extensively using the latest forensic techniques. All tests have confirmed the item's authenticity and their connection to the missing family, but none have revealed new information about their fate. 5 years after the Thompson family vanished, their fate remains unknown. The buried box provides evidence that the family survived their initial departure from the RV and traveled miles through difficult terrain while attempting to find help or safety. Beyond that, the desert has revealed nothing. The discovery site showed signs of deliberate placement rather than random abandonment. The stone pile that concealed the box had been constructed with care, using rocks of similar size arranged in a pattern that appeared natural but provided stable concealment. The construction required time and planning that seemed inconsistent with an emergency survival situation. So who buried the evidence in the desert, and why wait 5 years to let it be found? Private donations continued funding sporadic search operations through 2021, but volunteer participation declined as other missing persons cases captured public attention. The Thompson family's photographs remained posted in businesses throughout the Mojave region, but the images faded and curled at the edges. New missing persons flyers gradually covered the older ones. Detective Morrison retired from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in December 2022 after 31 years of service. Her final case review recommended maintaining the Thompson file in active status, but acknowledged that conventional investigative methods had been exhausted. Morrison's replacement inherited 47 open missing persons cases spanning 3 decades. Maria Thompson changed her legal name to Maria Stevens in 2023 and relocated to Vancouver, Canada. She stopped responding to anniversary interview requests and declined participation in true crime documentaries about her sister's disappearance. The family's estate remained in legal limbo, with assets frozen pending a death declaration that Maria refused to pursue. Sarah's travel blog remained online, preserved by an automatic hosting renewal. The final post continued receiving comments from strangers offering theories and condolences. The comment section became a digital memorial where people shared stories of their own missing family members. Blog traffic gradually decreased from thousands of daily visitors to fewer than 50. David's employer donated his final paycheck to a missing persons nonprofit and closed his personnel file. His desk remained unoccupied for 6 months before being reassigned to a new hire. Coworkers occasionally mentioned the Thompson case during lunch conversations, but the discussions grew briefer as staff turnover introduced employees who had never known the family. The reward fund maintained its $50,000 balance, but generated no credible leads. Fund administrators reported receiving approximately 200 tips over 5 years, ranging from psychic predictions to claims of sightings in distant states. None withstood basic verification. The fund's annual administrative costs gradually depleted the principal amount. Roosevelt Elementary School dedicated a memorial garden to Sarah Thompson in spring 2024. The small plot behind the main building contained desert plants and a bench with a brass plaque reading, "In memory of Sarah Thompson, who helped children grow." Current third-grade students had no memory of their missing teacher, but they tended the garden as part of their science curriculum. The Winnebago View was released from evidence storage in 2023 and sold at public auction. A retired couple from Phoenix purchased the vehicle for $18,000 and planned to use it for cross-country travel. They reported no unusual discoveries during their renovation and expressed no concerns about the RV's history. Crime scene photographs and evidence samples remained archived in climate-controlled storage facilities. The FBI's Los Angeles field office maintained digital copies of all case materials, accessible to authorized personnel through secure databases. Advanced forensic techniques developed in subsequent years had not been applied to the Thompson evidence due to budget constraints and case prioritization. Annual reviews of the case file produced no new investigative directions. The reviewing agents acknowledged that the evidence trail had been thoroughly explored within the limitations of available technology and resources. No additional searches were authorized without compelling new information or witness testimony. Medical examiners in California, Nevada, and Arizona received standing notifications regarding unidentified remains matching the Thompson family's descriptions. No matches had been reported as of early 2024. Desert conditions typically preserve human remains for extended periods, making eventual discovery more likely than in other environments. The camera's memory card underwent additional forensic analysis in early 2024 using enhanced digital recovery techniques. Specialists attempted to retrieve deleted images or corrupted data that might provide additional information about the family's final hours. The analysis recovered fragments of 17 additional photographs, but image quality remained too poor for useful interpretation. Microscopic examination of the camera revealed trace evidence consistent with prolonged desert exposure. Sand particles embedded in the device's casing matched mineral compositions found throughout the Mojave region. The camera's internal components showed heat damage consistent with extreme temperature fluctuations over multiple years. Sarah's notebook received advanced document analysis, including multispectral imaging designed to reveal faded or obscured text. The process identified pressure indentations from previous pages, but could not recover legible content. Chemical analysis of the ink confirmed it matched the pen found in Sarah's purse, supporting the notebook's authenticity. The buried box itself underwent metallurgical analysis to determine its origin and manufacturing date. The aluminum alloy composition matched commercial storage containers produced by 3 different manufacturers between 2015 and 2020. No unique identifiers or serial numbers were found that could trace the box's purchase or distribution. Digital forensic specialists examined the camera's internal GPS log for additional location data. The device had recorded coordinates for every photograph taken during the family's trip, creating a detailed timeline of their movements. The data confirmed their adherence to planned routes until the final hours, when GPS coordinates showed erratic movement patterns. Enhanced analysis of the temporary shelter photograph revealed construction details not visible in standard examination. The shelter appeared to use guy lines from the RV's awning system, suggesting the family had returned to their vehicle to gather materials before establishing the emergency camp. The implications challenged assumptions about their final timeline. Spectral analysis of the light source visible in the nighttime photographs indicated artificial illumination rather than natural phenomena. The light's color temperature and intensity suggested high-powered LED equipment, inconsistent with typical camping or emergency lighting. The source's location remained approximately 2 miles from the shelter site. Ground-penetrating radar surveys of the area around the buried box discovery site revealed no additional hidden objects or disturbed soil. The search covered a 200-yard radius, using equipment capable of detecting metal objects and soil anomalies at depths up to 10 feet. No evidence of previous excavation or burial activity was discovered. Law enforcement officials acknowledged 3 primary theories regarding the Thompson family's disappearance, each supported by different aspects of the available evidence. The theories had evolved as new information emerged, but fundamental questions remained unanswered despite extensive investigation and analysis. The mechanical failure theory proposed that the family's RV experienced problems, requiring them to abandon the vehicle and seek help on foot. Proponents noted that desert driving conditions could cause intermittent problems that might not be apparent during later mechanical inspection. Engine overheating, fuel system vapor lock, or electrical failures could force drivers to stop in remote locations. However, this theory struggled to explain the family's extended movement through difficult terrain and darkness. Experienced desert travelers typically remain with their vehicles during mechanical problems, as vehicles provide shelter, visibility to rescue aircraft, and emergency supplies. The family's decision to leave their RV and travel 6 miles on foot suggested urgency, inconsistent with simple mechanical failure. The criminal encounter theory suggested the family had witnessed illegal activity or encountered hostile individuals in the remote desert area. Drug trafficking operations frequently used isolated areas for transportation and storage, with documented incidents of violence against civilian witnesses. The family's rapid departure from their RV might have resulted from immediate threats to their safety. This theory aligned with several aspects of the evidence, including the abrupt cessation of electronic signals and the family's apparent fear referenced in Sarah's notebook entries. The presence of artificial lighting in the nighttime photographs could indicate criminal operations requiring concealment from law enforcement surveillance. However, no evidence of criminal activity was discovered during extensive searches of the area. The voluntary disappearance theory proposed that the family had planned their own vanishing for unknown reasons. Some investigators noted that all 4 family members had disappeared simultaneously without leaving obvious trace evidence. The buried box could represent pre-positioned supplies or evidence intended to mislead investigators about the circumstances of their departure. Financial analysis contradicted this theory, as the family's assets remained untouched and their lifestyle showed no signs of preparation for extended absence. The twins' young age would have made successful identity changes extremely difficult, and the family's community ties appeared strong. No evidence suggested motivation for voluntary disappearance. The systemic failure theory examined whether investigative and search limitations had prevented resolution of the case. Proponents noted that jurisdictional conflicts, resource constraints, and procedural delays had compromised early search efforts when recovery remained most likely. The theory suggested that evidence existed but had been overlooked or destroyed by environmental factors. This theory gained credibility as case reviews revealed multiple missed opportunities and coordination failures. The 6-day delay in discovering tire tracks leading to the RV had allowed contamination of potential evidence. Limited search areas had excluded terrain where the family was later known to have traveled. Technical equipment available in 2024 had not been deployed during the original investigation. The discovery timeline theory proposed that someone with knowledge of the family's fate had deliberately revealed evidence after a predetermined waiting period. The buried box's professional preservation and the anonymous forum post guiding its discovery suggested careful planning rather than coincidental revelation. This theory raised disturbing questions about potential witnesses or participants who had remained silent for 5 years. The timing coincided with statute of limitations expiration for certain potential crimes, possibly motivating disclosure. However, no suspects or persons of interest had been identified, despite extensive background investigations. The survival theory suggested that one or more family members had initially survived the desert ordeal, but later perished in locations not yet discovered. The ghost flower pollen found on the camera indicated travel to higher elevations during spring months, possibly representing extended survival efforts. Modified water sources discovered by researchers supported the possibility of sustained human presence in the area. This theory offered hope for eventual discovery of remains or additional evidence, but could not explain the complete absence of personal items or camping equipment. Desert survival for extended periods would require significant resources and knowledge that the family did not appear to possess. The theory also failed to address why survivors would not have sought rescue or contacted family members. The camera's 11th photograph continued to generate the most intensive analysis and speculation. The temporary shelter construction suggested engineering knowledge and planning time inconsistent with emergency circumstances. The materials appeared to match the RV's awning system, but the shelter's location required hours of hiking through difficult terrain while carrying substantial equipment. Enhanced digital analysis revealed details not visible in standard examination. The shelter's guy lines showed signs of professional rigging, with knots and tension systems suggesting maritime or climbing experience. None of the Thompson family members had documented backgrounds in sailing, mountaineering, or rope work that would explain such sophisticated construction techniques. The shelter's orientation provided protection from prevailing winds and positioned the entrance to avoid direct sunlight during peak heat hours. The site selection demonstrated knowledge of desert survival principles that exceeded the family's documented camping experience. The location also offered concealment from aerial observation while maintaining access to natural navigation landmarks. Forensic meteorologists confirmed that weather conditions on October 15, 2019, would have made shelter construction extremely difficult. Sustained winds exceeding 35 miles per hour and near freezing temperatures would have required significant time and effort to establish secure temporary housing. The family's completion of such construction while managing 2 young children seemed improbable. Botanical evidence around the shelter site indicated minimal ground disturbance, suggesting brief occupation despite the construction effort involved. No fire rings, waste disposal areas, or long-term camping indicators were discovered. The evidence pattern suggested the shelter was used for a single night or abandoned shortly after construction. The human silhouette in the final photograph remained the case's most enigmatic element. Digital enhancement confirmed the figure was walking away from the camera toward higher terrain, but gender, age, and identity remained indeterminate. The person's size suggested an adult, but clothing and build could not be distinguished in the poor lighting conditions. The figure's direction of travel led toward Nevada state land, containing numerous abandoned mine shafts and natural cave systems. The terrain became increasingly difficult beyond the photographed location, with elevation gains exceeding 1,000 feet over 3 miles. No established trails existed in that area, and seasonal water sources were unreliable. Analysis of the figure's stride length and walking pace suggested someone familiar with desert hiking rather than a casual walker. The person appeared to maintain steady progress despite darkness and wind conditions that would challenge inexperienced hikers. The confidence implied by the gait suggested knowledge of the destination or route. The timing of the photograph at 4:23 a.m. placed the figure's movement during the coldest part of the desert night. Desert temperatures had dropped to 34 degrees Fahrenheit by that hour, creating potential hypothermia risks for anyone without adequate clothing. The figure's apparent purposeful movement suggested preparation for the conditions. Ground searches of the area shown in the photograph revealed no evidence of human passage, despite optimal preservation conditions. Desert sand and loose rock surfaces typically retain footprints and other sign for weeks under dry conditions. The complete absence of tracks suggested either careful concealment or environmental factors that eliminated evidence. The investigation officially remains open, but inactive. No dedicated personnel are assigned to the case, and no additional resources have been allocated for search operations. The file receives quarterly reviews by cold case specialists who examine new evidence and reassess investigative priorities based on available information and departmental resources. Recent technological advances in ground-penetrating radar, aerial thermal imaging, and DNA analysis could potentially reveal new information from existing evidence. However, budget constraints and competing case priorities have prevented application of these techniques to the Thompson investigation. The department acknowledges that resolution may require either significant new evidence or substantial resource investment. The Thompson family's disappearance influenced search and rescue protocols throughout the southwestern United States. Training programs now emphasize broader search parameters for missing vehicle cases and earlier deployment of technical resources. The case study appears in curricula for law enforcement academies and emergency management programs. Regional cooperation between agencies improved following criticism of the original investigation's coordination failures. Standardized communication protocols and resource-sharing agreements now facilitate more effective multi-jurisdictional responses to missing persons cases in remote areas. The Thompson case serves as a cautionary example of how procedural limitations can compromise investigative outcomes. Missing persons databases maintained by state and federal agencies continue to carry active entries for all 4 family members. Annual updates ensure the case remains visible to law enforcement personnel who might encounter related information. No confirmed sightings or credible leads have been reported since the buried box discovery. The ghost flower pollen found on David's camera represents the investigation's most significant unresolved clue. The pollen's presence indicates the camera traveled to elevations above 3,000 feet during March through May growing seasons, well after the family's October disappearance. The evidence suggests either human transport or environmental factors not yet understood. Botanical experts confirmed that ghost flowers bloom exclusively at higher elevations during specific seasonal conditions. The pollen's adherence to the camera required direct contact with flowering plants rather than wind dispersal from distant sources. The evidence placement indicates the camera was physically present in ghost flower habitat during active blooming periods. Search operations have never extended to the elevations where ghost flowers grow due to access difficulties and resource limitations. The terrain includes technical climbing areas, unstable rock formations, and seasonal weather hazards that exceed typical search team capabilities. Specialized mountaineering equipment and training would be required for comprehensive exploration. The pollen evidence suggests 3 possible scenarios. The camera was transported to higher elevations by human agency. Environmental forces moved the device through water or wind action, or one or more family members survived long enough to travel to ghost flower habitat during subsequent spring seasons. Each possibility raises additional questions about the case timeline and circumstances. Water sources and shelter possibilities at higher elevations remain largely unexplored. Historical mining activity created numerous artificial cavities and structures that could provide long-term survival opportunities for determined individuals. Natural caves and rock overhangs offer additional protection from weather extremes common at altitude. Wildlife patterns in elevated areas show signs of regular human presence over extended periods, according to trail camera data collected by research organizations. Modified water sources, constructed windbreaks, and altered vegetation patterns suggest ongoing maintenance activities spanning multiple years. The modifications require tools and knowledge consistent with survival preparation rather than casual camping. So who left evidence in the desert after 5 years of silence? And what else remains hidden in the mountains where ghost flowers bloom?